Hello everybody, this is Kiereek here, and welcome back to another episode of Review and Release. Today, obviously, we're doing Fallout New Vegas. Now, we may be wondering what this is if you've been living under a rock. Well, it's a free roaming, third or first person, depending on what you enjoy, shooter, and it does have RPG elements as well, such as skills, speech checks, experience, and percentage chances. You know, in RPGs, there's always percentage chances to hit. Well, it has this. It is kind of the successor to the other Fallout games, certainly to Fallout 3, and in name only to the previous Fallouts. If you are interested in playing them, they are a whole different type of game, but they're still good. It is a game with a huge area. There is lots to do. It is a complete story along with the free roaming aspect. There are, I think, 4 slightly different endings, if I remember correctly. There are many ways to play as well. So if you're a shooter, you can do that. If you prefer to be the diplomat or the brains or the stealthy guy, those are all available choices to you. And there are 4 story-based DLCs, as well as some other ones that are not story-based. And I just want to put it out there that the story-based DLCs are actually, they're pretty damn good as well. The story is pretty fine. Now, on to the pros. You'll get a lot of hours of gameplay out of this. I mentioned that there are 4 different possible endings and paths you take. Well, that means that you can play this game over at least 4 times. I know I've done more than that because I like trying different types of characters, investing in different stories, and as far as the characters go, they're very moldable. So I've played as an old man, and it's just as cool as playing as like a hot, like sexy spy or something like that. Recently with mods, I also played as a robot. You may have seen the Athena video. Well, that was made using mods in Fallout New Vegas, and so there's plenty of customizability there. Hopefully that's a word, customizability. Now, if you like shooting, there are tons of weapons as well. Plenty of weapons out there, from plasma weaponry to grenades to rifles to pistols to bats to golf clubs to even the bumpers off cars. And if you ever played other Fallout games, you'll recognize some of the weapons right off the bat. A lot of them make returns, and it's pretty sweet when you can jump in and you know what you're getting. Now, there is also a faction system which is pretty well implemented. Basically, what it involves is you have several factions in the game, one of which is the NCR, one of which is the Legion, and a few other ones. And depending on how you treated them and your actions in the past, they'll either love you or hate you. And obviously, if they hate you too much, you're not going to get any cakes when you come around. And if they love you a whole bunch, well, then you can expect better things from them. Now, it has a VAT system as well, and it's pretty neat. Basically, what happens is you pause the game and your stats take effect. You are able to target certain parts of the opponent's body. There's a percentage chance that you'll hit them, and then when you release VATs, accept your choices, it initiates a kind of cutscene-like battle sequence. It's pretty fun to watch, and it's also great because, you know, you don't always have the best accuracy if you're like me, and you don't want to unnecessarily risk those kind of shots. So it's pretty cool, and the scenes look awesome. Now, the UI is pretty simple. I think anybody can handle without any kind of training. When you open up the menu for the first time, there will be a little message tutorial, but that's really all you need. Now, while you're playing the game, you can really choose between an all-powerful god if you want to invest in all combat skills, or if you want to be kind of a more helpless but logical, intelligent player. I shouldn't say helpless, but definitely when you get into fights, if you're lacking those fighting skills, it'll hurt you. But of course, there are lots of times where those fighting skills aren't necessary, and you don't even have to initiate a fight if you are tactical, conniving, you have a high enough speech, you have a high enough lockpick, a high enough pickpocket, you know, things like that. So it's pretty neat. And the last thing I got in here is the mods. There is a huge modding community similar to Skyrim, but not quite as big. And plenty of stuff is out there to keep you going. That's everything from weapons to quests to different types of races or armor, and it's pretty enjoyable. If you ever need something to freshen things up, I've got mine heavily modded, especially graphically. You'd be surprised how damn sweet this game looks when you graphically mod it. Now, on to the cons. The main story, I said it has 4 main endings, but I do find it a little short. Now, it's alright that's a little short because it allows you to play the different endings relatively quickly if you want to just rush through it. Now, I don't recommend you rush through it, but it's a possibility for you. Now, even when you beat the game, this is my other gripe with it, there's no post-game. So, I recommend beating all the DLC first. You'll be really OP for the main story, but if you beat the main story first, it's over. It's done. There's no going back even from a certain point, and man, that's annoying. That's super annoying when you're playing the game and you don't know that. You save right before the end of the game and you can't actually go back from that save. That sucks. Yeah, it really sucks. That happened to me the first time, and it's no fun for anyone. Now, the game does have a tendency to crash sometimes. This tendency is definitely heightened by the use of mods as well. So if you're a heavy mod user like me, you'll find there are quite a few crashes just because Vegas itself, even when you're running vanilla, is kind of unstable. When you add a whole bunch of scripting and increase the load on the game itself, it's going to crash fairly often. And unfortunately, it's one of the downsides of Vegas. You kind of just have to put up with it and try to do as little mod conflicting as possible. Sometimes it's going to happen. I've got like the best load order I could possibly manage, and it still crashes on me from time to time, if not more than that. Now, I understand the mods are not part of the game's fault, but even when like I said, when you're playing vanilla, it still crashes fairly, not consistently, but too often to be considered reliable in my books. Now, some of the side quests, there are a good amount of them, but some of them do seem to drag on. One in particular I always find drags on is the quest for the NCR. It's actually a series of quests together where you have to gather reinforcements from different bases, and in doing so you have to get each base to really like you, which means doing more missions. It's a huge entanglement of quests, and it just goes on forever. It makes me never want to do it because there's no end in sight. Now, a lot of the times, I mentioned the moral system before, and a lot of the times, even though it's kind of cool and pretty like interesting to have that, I find it doesn't really play out very deeply. So yes, they'll attack you. Yes, they might be more kind to you, but there's no like life game-changing decisions. I find I can always reverse it. You know what I mean? I can always like do stuff to make it not really mean that much, and as a result, I really don't find it's that special. It's kind of meaningless, really. Now, finally, game does have a lot of bugs, and this kind of goes along with crashing, I suppose. But general rules for games made by Bethesda: don't jump on tables, trying to walk on things. If things are flinging around because the physics have gone wonky, be careful because they can kill you. Walking into a door, this happened to me first time I played through. I walked into the Gamora Hotel, couldn't move. Good thing I was playing on PC because I could use console commands to enable player controls. But if you're playing on a console, well, there's not a lot you can really do other than reload, which is unfortunate. Now, a lot of these have been patched, but still, it's a shot against the game. So, before I get on to my review, I would like to say I had a heck of a time thinking of more cons. I really didn't have that many on paper. Maybe I talked for a while, but it only amounted to 6. So I think that's a good sign for this game. Now, the scores for gameplay. It's pretty solid. It feels nice, and it's got a tons of different way to play. So even though the shooting feels pretty sweet, they've actually added iron sights for this one as opposed to Fallout 3. So that's always awesome. Iron sights are way better. So I gave the gameplay a 2.5 out of 3. I think that's fair. As far as addiction goes, it's pretty damn addicting. You can be on here for a long time. I'm just going to do one more quest. I'm just going to run to this dude. I'm just going to fast travel here. It adds up, and before you know it, the night is gone. So for addiction, I gave it a 1.5 out of 2. Now, for reliability, I mentioned before, crashes, even in vanilla, that's a big no-no for me, and with mods, it's even worse. So if you're going to enable modding support like that and encourage it, make sure your game can handle it. I'm giving it a 0.3 out of 1. Yikes. Sorry, guys. And for atmosphere, it really does get you into that atmosphere of apocalyptic wasteland. So if you've ever played the Fallout games before, there's a lot of characters, story development, and feeling like environmental hazards, and all that kind of stuff works together to get you into that atmosphere, to get you feeling you're in the game. Especially if you play on hardcore mode and you need to drink and eat, that's a little bit extra. It pushes it up to a 2.2. Oh, sorry, 2.2. A 2 out of 2. 2.2 is not possible. Now, replay value. Like I said, there are many different ways to play, but it's not infinite, so I can't get the full 2 out of 2. I'm going with 1.5 out of 2. Now, if you've been keeping track, that would make this out of 10 a 7.8. I think that's a fair score. It is an aging game, which shouldn't really affect the score, but it stands up still to modern games, at least in my rating system. I'm a little harsh. You'll find higher ratings than that around the internet, I'm sure. Anyhow, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching. I got more videos coming out for you soon. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. And, let's say it again, thanks for watching.